My mother is standing on the front porch waiting for me. Ida May! Ida May, get in here quickly! As if the war had already reached our front door. I run, my shoulder bag swinging against my ribs, and climb the stairs into her arms. What happened, Mama? What's happened? Come inside, it's on the radio. They'll play it again. The radio sits on the sideboard in the kitchen, where Mama listens to music while she cooks the family meals, humming and singing the whole day through. Mama's daddy, Grandy, is at the table now, and his big head with its close-cropped white hair is bowed over his clasped hands like he's praying. My little brother, Abel, is sitting at the table like it was Sunday school, his 7-year-old face solemn and unsure. He watches me with round eyes as I sit next to him. Mama pulls up a fourth chair. Music is playing just like any other day. We sit there, hands clasped like Randy's, until a news bulletin breaks in. This is an NBC News bulletin. The Japanese have bombed our naval base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii this morning. In an unexpected attack, a squadron of Japanese planes came out of the sky, dropping bombs on the naval base and the island of Oahu. The president is expected to speak tomorrow morning. This can only be taken as an act of war. We now return to our regularly scheduled program. Grandy sighs long and low and raises his head. They'll be wanting Thomas, he says. I stare at him. What do you mean? Mama shakes her head. But there are so many others who will want to go. He's not meant to be a soldier. He's going to be a surgeon. Will they really? She trails off, tears settling in the worry lines around her eyes. Don't worry, Mama, I say quickly. Thomas knows we need him here. Besides, Hawaii is a long way off from Louisiana. Europe is too. They can't touch us here. I stand up and put my arms around her. She holds on to me tight, the way I used to hold on to her when I was little. It scares me, but it's all right. We'll be okay. Grandy cuts off the radio. President don't speak until tomorrow. Supper's almost ready, Mama says, pulling away from me. She straightens her apron, wipes her eyes on a corner, and smiles at me. Ida Mae Jones, what have you done to your hair? I feel a thick wave of it and realize I forgot to comb it out after taking my headscarf off. Oh, we were cleaning. I'll brush it. Does it look bad? Girl, you'd leave your head in the dishwasher if you weren't paying attention, Mama says. She's okay now. Good thing you got your daddy's hair, else you'd be looking like a featherbed. Now go wash up and help me finish the potatoes. You've got to have an appetite after all the running you must have done to get home today. Yes, ma'am, I say, and we move about the house like we have 1,000 times before. Grandy in the living room shuffling cards to play whist with Abel. Mama and I side by side at the kitchen sink. Sailors are dying in Hawaii. Women are flying overseas. But everything is the same for the Joneses of Slidell, Louisiana. That night after dinner, I go into the barn and pull the cover off my father's airplane. Even in the dark, she's beautiful, with her stacked yellow wings, blue and white striped tail, and red propeller. She shines like new. You take care of a plane, Daddy used to say, and it will take care of you. It's dark in the barn, but I know the Jenny like the back of my hand. I climb into her open cockpit and settle myself in. The leather seat cups my back and I rest my head, looking at the rafters up above. The war is here, flown in by Japanese fighter planes. I close my eyes and wonder if it will ever be safe for me to fly again. Monday morning dawns clear and blue. It was probably just as blue over Hawaii when the Japanese bombs started to fall. Mama keeps us busy while we wait for my big brother to come home. Thomas is a resident at the Veterans Hospital in Tuskegee, Alabama. But he's taken a leave of absence after what happened yesterday. At a time like this, everyone should be home. I clear away the breakfast dishes, wash them dry and put them in the cupboard, and try not to think. Grandy disappears into the barn and comes back with a piece from his tractor. He turns on the radio, then sits at the kitchen table and begins to dismantle the greasy bits of metal over a piece of newspaper. Abel sits on the living room floor with one of the barn cats and some of Mama's yarn. Mama never lets the cats inside, but today she doesn't seem to mind. She's knitting a scarf for Thomas. Christmas is almost here, she says, and I can hear the choke in her voice. All of us fiddle with our hands and listen to the president speak. I think of those warplanes, flying over American houses, American families. I listen to the sky over our kitchen and pray. On the radio, Mr. Roosevelt's speech ends. 1,000 miles away in Washington, the Congress erupts in applause. For me, there's nothing to clap for. Thomas reaches the house, dusty and tired. He runs up the stairs and throws the door open as the radio ovation fades. Yesterday we were a nation at peace, and now we are at war. Thomas sweeps Mama into a big hug. "Oh, baby, I'm so glad you're home," Mama says, holding him tight. She wrings her hands as my big brother takes off his jacket and hangs up his hat on one of the hooks by the door. "How could all of this happen on a Sunday?" "Doesn't seem right," Thomas agrees. We have no answers. None at all. "Right or wrong, we'll make it through," Grandy says. "Good to see you, son." He and Thomas grip hands. Seeing the two of them together makes me wish my daddy was here. Thomas clears his throat. "I made a decision on my way over here. I'm enlisting." The room gets so quiet, I can hear the clock ticking on the mantel. I look from Mama to Grandy to Thomas. Mama is the first to speak. "You'll eat lunch first." Her face is gray, but she keeps her dignity. She pats Thomas on the shoulder, tells Abel to get rid of that cat, and goes into the kitchen humming. "How you doing, Clayfoot?" Thomas grins at me. His smile is contagious. I hug my big brother. "Don't be stupid, Tommy," I tell him. "You can't enlist. We need you here." But he doesn't listen. "It won't just be the Japs," he says into my hair. "The Nazis will be next, and the Negro doesn't stand a chance in a world run by them." I nod as though I understand, but I don't. Like those women flying over Europe, it seems like a picture show, far away and unreal. It's almost Christmas, Tommy. There's a whole ocean between here and the Nazis. Let the ocean do its job. Thomas pulls back, and he's frowning now. My brother's gotten taller and more handsome since he's been at school. He looks more like Daddy every time I see him. The same strong hands, the same warm eyes. Only the curlier hair and pale coffee skin are different. "The ocean didn't stop the Japanese," he says. My heart sinks into my stomach. "Tommy, please." "Clayfoot?" He uses the pet name again. "You sure are just a kid after all, which makes it harder for me to ask what I need to, but I'll ask it anyway. I'm going to join up in this war. A lot of young men are, and I'll be leaving you all. Not like for school in Tuskegee, but far, far away. And Abel's too young to do this for me, and Grandy is too old, so it falls to you, Ida May." My heart pounds. He is serious. Serious if he's calling me by my given name. "Take care of Mama, Ida. Take care of Grandy, of Abel, of yourself too. There are important things in this world that a man's got to do, but we do it for our families. I'll fight for our country to keep y'all safe. You just make sure everyone's still here when I get back." I want to close my eyes. I don't want to see Thomas standing there looking so serious. As serious as he did kneeling by that tractor the day Daddy died. I never wanted to see that look on his face again, but it's there. I grab his hand and try to smile. "You're too serious sometimes," I want to say, but I can't. Instead, I end up giving him another hug. "I promise. We'll be all right. As long as you are, too." He laughs then and shakes my hand very formally. "It's a deal." Neither one of us knows we've made promises we can't keep. It was a hot day in August when Daddy died. I was 16 years old. Thomas was 19. He and Daddy were working in the east field, turning the old husks into soil, when something went wrong. The tractor flipped over on top of Daddy, and Thomas ran 3 whole miles to get help. Mama and I came racing out of the house as Thomas flew past us, pointing and hollering, running to get more men to lift the tractor. He was too late, but not too late to hear Daddy, with his last breath, talking to Mama and me. She was holding his hand like she could keep his soul from leaving his body, but he just squeezed it back and smiled. "Stella, Look at that boy run, he said, seeing Thomas come up all sweaty and scared, 10 men and the doctor behind him, ready to pull that tractor off of Daddy. Did you see that? Daddy said. Look at old Thomas. He sure can fly. Thomas flew all right. He flew right out of Slidell. He was never going to be a dirt farmer, he said, set to die in the tracks of his plow. He got as far as the Institute in Tuskegee, where he learned to be a doctor, so he would never have to run 3 miles for one again. And now my big brother's running all the way to the war. After dinner, Grandy's the first one to speak. Now be sure you get posted as an officer, he tells Thomas, jabbing the table with a blunt finger. Grandy fought in the trenches in the Great War. That'll keep you out of the worst of it, even in a Negro unit. Yes, sir, Thomas nods. Grandy's got everyone's attention. Shouldn't be too hard, Grandy says. A half-school doctor is better than no doctor at all. That should get you a commission. You'll be all right, as long as you're not in the trenches. A colored man in the trenches is worse than dead. Mama goes real quiet. She was 2 years younger than me when Grandy went off to France. She remembers it well enough, I know, but she never talks about it. Thomas puts his hand over hers on the table. I don't know what to say to anybody, so I'll go get Abel and bring him upstairs for bed. Ida, what's going to happen to Thomas? Abel asks me when I tuck him in. Nothing, Abel, nothing. Abel fixes me with those sharp brown eyes of his and frowns. Don't tell stories, Ida. I've been to the picture shows. I seen the war reels. I know what it means when he says he's signing up. I sit still and look at my little brother. Abel's just a kid. He shouldn't know this stuff. Yeah, well, Tommy's pretty smart, don't you think? Being a doctor and all. I think he'll be helping other soldiers stay strong and not in any real danger himself. I guess. Abel lies back beneath the quilted coverlet Mama made for him from Daddy's old sweaters. You're not going anywhere, are you? Now, where am I supposed to go? I ask him, laughing. But in the pit of my stomach, I realize I did have someplace to go. Chicago. Chicago, to prove I can fly. My heart sinks when I didn't think it could get any lower. The dreams of one little colored girl don't matter to a world at war, but they matter to me. I swallow my sorrow and kiss Abel on the forehead. Go to bed, silly, and stop asking fool questions. Good night, Ida Mae. Good night, Abel James. I wrinkle my nose and he giggles. I cut off the lights as I'm leaving and I hear Abel singing in his 7-year-old voice real soft, so he thinks I can't hear him. Shoo fly, don't bother me. Shoo fly, don't bother me. I belong to somebody. I smile in the dark at the top of the stairway. Thomas taught me that song. Used to sing it to me in that same reedy little boy voice whenever something was bothering me or making me sad. Troubles are like flies, Ida, he told me. You just have to brush them away. Shoo fly, don't bother me. I repeat softly in the dark at the top of the stairs, struggling to keep the loss I feel at bay. Chicago will happen someday, maybe after this war. Shoo fly, don't bother me. I belong to somebody. I feel like a morning star. I feel like a morning star. Shoo fly, don't bother me. Shoo fly, don't bother me. I belong to somebody.